Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogweb333, and welcome back to the new campaign trail for the month of July. Now, last time we were here together, we hopped into the year 1988, and despite the best efforts of Mr. Joe Lieberman, we, as Lowell Weicker, beat Joe Lieberman. Slightly contradictory to the theme of this month, but I was either play that mod or play W again and also beat Lieberman. And I don't know, I want to play something smaller, something I haven't played before, give some love to a mod that I won't otherwise give love to. But now we are here in Sundance 2008. This is a mod, the second mod in a series, I want to say. Unless the guy made the prequel, or 2000 mod. This is a timeline where Al Gore won the presidency in 2000 and was actually recognized. For all you conspiracy theorists, you can set it down in the comment section. You are okay. You don't have to start yelling at me. Anyway, in the meanwhile, I was thinking about playing this when it came out, but I think around the time that it came out, I kind of became homeless. But now that I'm not, it is time to hop in and give this game a gander. Real quick, I want to make sure that I check the settings on this. I should have done this before. You can check the settings. I'm going to be playing Keep in Order. I could also play the jukebox if you so desire. I don't personally, because that'll nuke my video, although the soundtrack for this mod is pretty stellar from what I can tell. The Gore administration sits stormy weather in its second term as the mission in Afghanistan stagnates. A guerrilla impeachment overshadows his agenda, and the economy is stretched to the brink. A revitalized GOP prepares to take advantage as America decides Al Gore's successor. Utah Governor Mitt Romney presents himself as a fresh face compared to his opponent, Vice President Joe Lieberman. Romney seeks to prove his brand of conservatism is the change America needs, while Lieberman must undercut Romney's appeal without alienating the Democratic base. Credit to all the developers of this, Astro Hunch, Stockdale for the campaign trail, Neo, and Ted Thang. Now let's give this a gander. Classic. Kind of fucked up that it's playing for a Jewish man, but what do we, that's just not much we can do about that, can we? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Vice President Joe Lieberman. After 8 years, Joe Lieberman is eager to escape the chains of the vice presidency. He served as Gore's chief hawk, even as his boss pursues a peace process with Iran he finds fruitless. Despite Gore's weakening popularity and the faltering economy, he won the Democratic nomination by levering institutional support to build on his base of elderly and Jewish voters, and without leaving his maverick image behind. Lieberman faces a Republican Party out for blood after 16 years out of power, as well as third-party candidacy by Dennis Kucinich to his left. To win, he must keep the left wing of his base satisfied, while successfully convincing moderate voters that Governor Romney is too extreme and out of touch to be president. Now, I have plans to play there are three sides to this. I have plans to play the Romney side at a yet to be announced theme month. But if you guys want to see me play Mr. Dennis Kucinich, let's get 11 likes on this video, and we'll give it a gander. In the meanwhile, we got a couple options for running mates. We are going to be going with Miss Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar is a junior senator from Minnesota, serving as Hennepin County attorney. Before her election in 2006, she quickly gained national media attention by leading Senate Democrats' defense of Al Gore during his impeachment. This has made her a liberal darling and cemented her place as a rising star in the party. Sucking Klobuchar would serve as an olive branch for those who backed Senator Paul Wellstone, her colleague and mentor for president, while exciting female voters as the first woman to appear on a major party ticket in a generation. Republicans, however, would certainly hone in on her for her lack of experience and liberal outlook on policy. Well, let's give this a gander. We got 31 questions. We're going to hop in and get this a-going. So let's take a look at the map off the bat. It's looking pretty rough for us off the bat. Looking at, what was it, 343 to 195. In popular vote, we're about 3.5 points underwater. Rough stuff. But Well, let's take a step back. For the past 8 years, you've always been the president, following him in lockstep. This has done you little good. As the primaries begin, everyone smells blood in the water, from moderates like Mark Warner to liberal hellraisers like Paul Wellstone. How will you gain legitimacy with the base? Well, people out there know I'm on their side. I spent 8 years helping out NARAL, the NAACP, our labor unions. Announce a national listening tour with them, and we can shake their hands and assure their support. Your itinerary resembles alphabet soup. The ACLU, NAACP, the AFL-CIO. These interest groups have received many suitors this year, but you've had their back for the longest. Your trip reminds them to return the favor. Democrats like Al Gore, but his approval ratings with the general public is dragged down by the slackening economy and an unending war abroad. You two have a frosty personal relationship, but he could do a lot to help rally primary voters behind you. Will he call in his assistance? Well, I'm not ashamed of my time working with the president, but it's clear people want a fresh start. I'm going to talk more about my ideas than about his to prove I'm an independent leader. A campaign based on bridging partisan divides and a fair shake between government and business interests certainly bucks liberal orthodoxy. At least that's how it seems after Wellstone easily wins the Iowa caucuses. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's not getting much better. So, I'm going to drop a visit into Colorado real quick, and then we're going to see what we can do. While John Edwards still nips at the heels, Senator Wellstone has effectively positioned himself as your primary opponent. Starting out as the people's choice among the net roots, he's recently won the Iowa caucus and enjoying an accompanying surge in support. What's your plan to beat him? Well, Wellstone just wants influence over our party's platform. We could be reasonable. Let's sit down with him and figure out what concessions he wants. That way we can build some consensus. Wellstone demands stuff like an instant moratorium on drone strikes and a full endorsement of universal health care. You let him throw in the platform. If it gets lost along the way, that's not your problem. With the Democratic convention coming up, the party is looking for a keynote speaker who can set the tone on the fall campaign while turning the table on the Republican nominee, Utah Governor Mitt Romney. Who would you like to see fill that important role? Well, sure, we've been in power for 16 years, but we have new ideas and new talent. Senator Obama's impressed many people these days. Let's get him up there and prove we're going to keep moving forward. Obama's speech about unifying Americans overcoming divisions catapults him into a bona fide stardom, and millions nationwide fall in love with him. He only utters your name 5 times. Was this just self-promotion for him? No. Okay, we're at 348 now, so we've lost a state since. My money's on Maine. Well, let's give a visit to, let's see, 5. Let's do Michigan. Your selection of Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota as your running mate is turning heads. The GOP is already raising hell about her short stint in D.C. and liberal values, but she seems a media darling in the making. Why'd you take the risk of putting Klobuchar on the ticket? Well, come on, you saw her on the TV during the impeachment trial. In 2007, Republicans claimed to have found a pattern of overbilling and no-bid contracts for Occidental Petroleum's operation of a gas pipeline in Afghanistan. To them, the Gore family's vast financial ties to the company were enough to implicate the president. Many working Americans struggled, still, to connect the dots. Well, she's just damn smart. Just look at the job she did defending the president. We can't afford not to have someone like her in the executive. Amy's acceptance speech brings the audience to its feet and viewers at home to tears. Her selection brings forth a prolonged honeymoon, and the Republicans are left with little to work with except prayers that it might fade. Oh, how are we looking? It's still not looking good. It's a big night in St. Paul. As the party's faithful await your speech to formally accept the D.C. nomination, or the Democratic nomination for president. This is your moment you've spent your whole life waiting for. What would you say to a crowd and to ordinary Americans watching at home? I'm just so verklempt with the faith that this country's put in me. I promise you, America, I'm not a soldier of our billionaires like Mitt Romney is. I will do everything I can to end this recession, to give us economic justice, to make this your America, not Bain Capital's America. This is a more populist than your usual tone, but a populist shift worked for Al, didn't it? Romney's background certainly makes it easy to pivot. Let's close in a little bit now. It's not bad at all. Even winning a state again. That's Michigan. Sons of bitches. We're going to head to... It's 5 points versus 6 points. Let's see what we can't do in Wisconsin. Only a few months ago, House Republicans impeached President Al Gore on a party line vote, citing supposed overcharging on federal oil contracts for Occidental Petroleum, a friendly oil company. You're vocally against impeachment, which is still the same pop-up, but how will you defend Gore's conduct going forward? Well, how will I defend it? Watch the GOP defend it. They lost their Senate majority because their own caucus knew it was a load of crap. Chafee's switch more than anything proves the president is innocent. Most people just want to move on, but it's true that Chafee really put egg on McConnell and Boner's faces, and helps remind people about that. Speaker of the House, after a sudden downfall of Tom DeLay, Republicans' search for reformer could wipe off the scandal. Boner's a perfect fit, though he's not as conservative as his old caucus. The war in Afghanistan has lasted 7 years. Despite beating al-Qaeda and wounding the Taliban, the nation is still ravaged by corruption and an endless insurgency. The activist left is increasingly deflated by the war. I'm going to open this for the thumbnail. And third-party candidate Dennis Kucinich feeds off their anger. What's your plan going forward? Well, I absolutely have a timeline to withdraw from Afghanistan as soon as the nation is safe and stable. Expect the war to be over and our troops return home 4 years from now. When pressed, your timeline is vague, and you say it only extends to the one by the Gore administration. Many Americans, though, are still comforted by the idea that there is a plan. How are we doing? Still 5 points. 3 points in Colorado. Let's see what we can't do in Iowa. The biggest crisis facing Americans these days isn't coming from Al-Qaeda, but from Fannie Mae. Investors are terrified by the recent collapse of the bank Bear Stearns, fueled by an over-reliance on subprime mortgage loans. The Gore administration refuses to bail out, saying it was their fault. Do you agree with the president's decision? Well, bailouts are one thing, but the real problem lies in Congress. What we need right now is a real stimulus to kickstart the economy and stop investors from panicking. Boner and his gang won't allow that, and hardworking Americans are feeling the consequences as we speak. Mitt shakes his head and laughs, claiming that Democrats' only response to problems is more pork. At least the Democratic base likes the idea. How are we doing? 325 to 209. We're tied in Florida, which is nice. We're a little ahead in New Hampshire. Didn't even have to visit there, which is good. Fears about his setbacks in the primaries and emboldened by a variety of left-wing grievances, Dennis Kucinich has mounted an independent campaign holding a rally for the Republic parallel to the DNC, attacking you at every turn. Advisors fear he could spoil the election for Romney. How will you lower his numbers? Please, he's running? He's such a damn joke. If Dennis wants to throw this election to Romney, that's his prerogative, I guess, but I think most people will look at Mitt and get why their vote is too important to waste. Against a maverick like McCain or Bush, maybe Kucinich would be more attractive, but Romney's plain scary to most liberals. That is probably the top thing blunting Dennis's numbers. Imagine Mitt Romney being scary to liberals today. Oh, how funny. Times have changed. Let's go Wisconsin. Investors are still panicking with this summer defined by layoffs for many Americans. Unemployment is rising, the economy shrank last quarter. Mitt is attempting to use his business credentials to ride the wave of economic discontent to the top. How will he blunt this attack? What we have to consider is that Romney doesn't really care about the economy. He's so rich he's never had to worry about it. His top concern right now is beating on the vulnerable, beating on gay people. It's true Romney spends a lot of time talking about social issues, but the economy is his forte. It'll take a lot more than this to make Americans see through that fraud. While seeking to normalize relations, Gore has put considerable effort into a nuclear deal with the Iranian regime. Promising to freeze their assets in exchange for a 10-year pause on their nuclear program. The Iranian regime, for those of you who don't know, not very relevant in the news right now, of course, is a notorious Shia theocracy in the Middle East and a state sponsor of terror. They have provided aid in the fight against the Taliban. Gore's work on a nuclear deal with him has long drawn skepticism from both sides of the aisle. Well, he's proud of it. Your personal opinion of the deal is considerably less favorable. Will you seek to continue it? Well, to be honest, my biggest concern right now is how Congress will handle it. Boner and his goons are holding back our effort to keep nuclear weapons out of Iran's hands. Political games are one thing, but national security is another. Congress always makes for a good enemy. The argument that Boner can't stop butting into other people's business is persuasive in the post-impeachment world. Still, the question of how you'd handle the treaty is too open for the media to get comfortable. Oh, they'll get used to it, I'm sure. Where do we want to visit next? We're good in New Hampshire. Let's go Ohio. See our brother Jebediah. I forget how that one goes. Gore's attempt at immigration reform was the first political disaster of his second term. His grand bargain, promising to streamline and strengthen the border, deadlocked in the Senate. Mitt is a hardliner in immigration, implementing draconian laws against illegal immigration in Utah. Where do you stand on the issue? Well, listen, I understand people have concerns over the border, but Mitt's proposals are too radical. He talks about fixing the economy and reducing our debt, and then says he'll splurge on a giant wall. It's like he's taking policy notes from Joe Arpaio. Romney responds by calling Arpaio a great sheriff, one of the best in America. It's great material for our ad men, who've already thrown it over footage of some of the sheriff's concentration camps. Yeah. No. Well, on CNN this morning, your chief advisor, James Carville, pressed on Mitt Romney to release his tax returns, claiming his refusal is near proof he's cheating. Romney's campaign calls this obvious slander, even threatening legal action. Will he back Carville up? Well, I release my tax returns every single year because I want to have total transparency with the American people. Why doesn't Governor Romney release his? That's the question we should all be asking. Turning up the heat does wonders. Mitt plays hot potato with his tax returns for a whole week before relenting in embarrassing fashion. Even Kachinik found time to produce an internet documentary about the damn thing. To many, he looks guiltier than ever. Where do we want to go next? Let's do Ohio again. With the public increasingly furious over his election campaign, he made President Gore's asked Treasury Secretary James Johnson to step down, jolting the markets. Treasury Secretary from 01 to 08, Johnson's past in the same companies that caused the housing crisis made in persona non grata in public life. In no world could he have stayed in Washington. Romney's using this as proof of Gore's economic competence. How will you defend the president here? Well, I've never been close to the former secretary, and I was glad to hear he stepped down. Him and I never really saw eye to eye on policy questions. When we were elected, I asked the president to keep Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary from 99 to 01. His work in mitigating the Asian crisis earned him many plaudits, but Gore's feud with him has kept him out of the loop since then. Gore's faced attacks for years that he threw away Clinton-era prosperity by passing up on Summers. Invoking a ghost from Gore's past makes for a major break from the president. Was furious to have overshadowed his replacement of Johnson with Paul Volcker, former chairman of the Federal Reserve from 79 to 87, current Treasury Secretary, an economic wizard credited with killing the inflation in the late 70s. Can he work his magic again? We'll see, won't we? How we doing? Still not great. Kachinik has about 5% of the popular vote, though we've narrowed the R share to just under 3. Bin Laden, leader of Al-Qaeda, authorized the September 11th attacks, captured by U.S. forces on February 21st, 2005, convicted and sentenced to death on 2,970 counts of murder, executed in 2008. February 21st, 2005, U.S. forces captured Bin Laden as he crossed into Afghanistan. 3 companions were killed in the ensuing firefight. Bin Laden was arraigned and extradited to SDNY on 2,970 counts of murder, among other charges. And public trials sparked a wave of international terror, from attacks in London to the thwarted bombing of Augie Bottom linked to Al-Qaeda, which is terrorist plot foiled on May 15, 2006. Jihadi terrorists flagged and intercepted en route to the State Department. A rental car rigged with ammonium nitrate killed after a high-speed chase. Motive was revenge for capturing Bin Laden. The threat of terror still lurks, needless to say. Has Gore's administration really made the world a safer place? Tell the critics this. Osama bin Laden is dead. Enough said. Executing Bin Laden is one of the few things that's gone right for you this year. There's no reason not to bring it up. Based. What do we want to do next? Where do we want to go? Let's go higher. Romney earned the nomination in large part after he spent 2006 rallying against gay marriage, campaigning across the country for various state ballot measures protecting the sanctity of marriage. He's rallied proclaimed Utah is a place where gay marriage goes to die. How will you fight back? Well, look, young voters aren't too fond of me, but they hate how Romney talks about gay people. I need to take a stand to win them back. Let's unequivocally support gay marriage and the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Make history as your bold calls for equality. Draw the battle lines clearly. Against a force like Romney, America's gay allies have nowhere else to go. Does that do anything to help us? Not quite. Not quite at all. First televised debate against Governor Romney is coming up, and main pundits expect him to jump on Secretary Johnson's firing and turn it into a rout. It's a strategy going to the debate to withstand his assault. Oh, look, Mitt's gotten too big for his britches. At the end of the day, he's a wealthy phony, the same kind of guy who causes crisis. I'm not going to let him scare me. I'm going to take him on. When Romney tries to seize on Johnson's firing, you can only call him a far-right extremist. The visual is pretty clear to people at home. Romney has solutions. You just throw attacks. Fuck. Let's narrow the gap in Wisconsin. After being left out of the debate, Kuchinik has received an endorsement the other day from Ramsey Clark, the defense attorney for Osama bin Laden. Attorney General recently used an apology to Milosevic and other such figures. Defense counsel to Osama bin Laden. Well, Dennis Kuchinik was endorsed by the man who defended the murderer of countless Americans. He could have rushed to reject the endorsement, but he didn't. It says a lot that he can forget about our fallen like that. Kuchinik's now scrambling to deny Clark's endorsement, but lets him off a little too easy for anyone to give that man grace. This little crowd of kids can't knock 3 doors without being told they're in Al-Qaeda. Fuck. A major request to rally Democratic base. Governor Romney is accused of being a tool of special interests like the NARAL, the ACLU, and the big labor unions. How will you prove your independence from some of your biggest backers? Look. All my life, I've worked with Republicans and Democrats to the better of the country. I counted Senator McCain as one of my closest friends. Mitt can't even build bridges with members of his own party. Mitt's core support base is small but fierce. He is the hand-anointed candidate of the far right, wearing their blessing. This might make him toxic with the rest of his big tent, and he could do some serious damage if he pry apart his coalition. If 6, 7, 6, 7. Gore's No Child Left Behind. Gore's landmark education reform gave teachers more money tied to strict standardized testing. 7 years on, reading scores are still stagnant. So we can shake up education in American history. Its reputation has soured recently, with many concerned that its rigorous standards limit children's learning. In his promise to get the government out of education, while he passed support for school choice lingers. What's the Lieberman plan for education? Old Romney's high school had a 316-acre campus, a $300 million endowment. He wants your money to go there instead of our public schools. Less resources for poor kids, more subsidies for the wealthy. That's the real Mitt Romney. Our folk put out an ad featuring the elite boarding school he attended as a youth. It makes for a good spin, but many voters are still interested in Romney's ideas. Senator Chris Dodd, your former colleague, who now chairs the Banking Commission, proposed a bill rescuing subprime mortgage lenders. This includes Countrywide Financial, which gave him a generous VIP mortgage. Republicans could use this alleged corruption to question your judgment. What would we say to counter that? Bury it. Shut it down. Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's his problem, not mine. Fortunately, most papers don't touch on your connections to Dodd, so rather focus on Romney's time at Bain Capital. What a lucky break. Fuck. 6 points, 6 points, 6 points, 7 points. We'll drop a visit into Colorado. It's the third presidential debate. The moderator, Bob Schiffer of CBS, wishes to ask a deceptively simple question. What have you done quite differently from President Gore over the past 8 years? Well, I said to him in 2001 that Clinton had a good thing going with the economy and that Johnson gave me the creeps. Well, you should have kept Larry Summers. For all our sakes, I wish he had listened to me. Your bold break of the president shocks the moderators, and Romney struggles to regain his footing for the rest of the debate. The media still has questions. What's to say about your strength that you were never able to push him to your side? Not much, apparently, according to the electoral base. News arrives from Washington. President Gore and Speaker Boehner. Boehner? I think it's Boehner. I've been saying Boehner the whole time. It's probably funnier, though. Recently agreed to bail out Lehman Brothers, preventing the collapse of one of the nation's largest banks. The news brought Wall Street back from the brink while enraging figures like Dennis Kucinich and blindsiding hard-right Republicans. What will they say about them in the coming days? Also, I want to thank Speaker Boehner, and the hard work of Congressman Paul Ryan for what they've done to bring our nation off a cliff. I'll be glad to work with reasonable Republican menches like them as president. Ryan is a new national figure, the face of the illicit state of the economy. He also vocally supports Romney, but Romney's support of the congressman who opposed the bailout leaves you open to reap the political rewards. Let's do Ohio. We got some room there. With financial institutions safe and an economic collapse averted, labor leaders are eager to know what you'll do for them. Gore's yet to pass a major stimulus package, and the unions are skeptical of your record. How will you assuage labor's concerns? Do you think Mitt Romney would ever walk into this room? He's already one of the most anti-union governors in the country. If he wins, he won't even give you the time of day. Unions are hoping for more substantive promises, but Romney's anti-labor record might be enough. His union busting and embrace of right to work has made him toxic. His name alone is a good scare tactic. Ever since joining the ticket, Klobuchar has held up in the face of a great many right-wing attacks. Tonight she'll have to prove herself in the vice presidential debates with Tommy Thompson, is sure to hammer her on experience and credentials. How should Amy approach tonight? Well, she's already taken the guy on. Remember the impeachment trial? All she has to do is remind people that time is more focused on smearing the president than solving the problems, and the rest is history. Thompson's vocal support for impeachment right as the financial crisis began his great line of attack. Amy does quite the good job questioning where his priorities lie. Holy shit, are we doing it? We're almost ahead in Michigan right now. We're almost ahead in Virginia. Tied in Florida. Oh, it's beautiful. Let's do Wisconsin just to be safe. After passing the Patient's Bill of Rights, Tate Gore's principal healthcare reform forbids HMOs from blocking patients from the ER and allows patients to sue them for denying care, while relatively minors are in the eye of the insurance industry. President Gore left healthcare mostly untouched. Given the hard times and existent flaws with the healthcare system, Governor Romney's promising an expansive free market solution modeled after his Romney Care program in Utah. How do you think we should reform healthcare? Romney Care is establish a national health insurance exchange, governor employer requirements and subsidized plans for low-income persons. Notably, though, it does not include an individual mandate. Well, Medicare and Medicaid are the backbones of our healthcare system. Mitt Romney wants to cut them. Isn't it just ridiculous that he thinks he can get away with that? Also, he can pat his buddy's pockets in the middle of a crisis. As foreclosure spike, the idea of Mitt cutting Medicare and Medicaid and Medicare increasingly hold weight. People today have so little, you could get a lot of mileage out of saying the other guy will take it away. Administration has executed Osama bin Laden. Many liberal groups are confused by how you justify this. Large swaths of the base are frustrated that you and the president have seemingly abandoned posing the death penalty. How will you mend these contradictions? Well, I'm not even going to bother to engage with the argument. It's morally reprehensible to suggest we shouldn't hold the murderer of over 3,000 Americans to justice, and I cannot believe anyone is suggesting we shouldn't. Kucinich's attempts to spin this as a betrayal of liberal values doesn't work. In this day and age, empathy for Osama bin Laden proves little political gain. We're actually doing it. We're actually ahead in Colorado right now. Doing well in New Hampshire. Well enough, at least. Let's visit Michigan. Try to push that over the edge. The recent bailout boosting his approval ratings. President Gore is offered to hit the stump for the final stretch. Despite the growing rift in the White House, he sees Romney as a threat and wants to do all he can to stop him. Will you accept? Are you kidding? People are falling in love with him again. We're going to have him at every swing stop we make for the last stretch. Tennessee is Gore country, so is Virginia and Pennsylvania and Florida. At least that's how he acts. First time in a while, Al has a pep to his step. Maybe that's worth Mitt's sneers that you're just more of the same. I think it is. We're actually ahead, boys. Look at that. Governor Romney seems to have failed in mending party divisions. Senator John McCain, his former opponent and your former friend and colleague, has reached out offering to endorse your campaign. Will you accept McCain's endorsement? Finally, some good news. Let's sit down in Phoenix and thank John for his endorsement. I'm thankful some Republicans are willing to put country over party. Never had this many people at a rally before, as McCain hits Romney hard with his trademark straight talk. He raises your hand, painting this as an alliance of problem solvers, and a race as close as this, it feels good to have a good night. Oh, it's beautiful. Alright, where should we go? Wisconsin is close. Iowa's close. Ohio is close. Colorado's quite close. Let's try to close the gap in Wisconsin. Let's see how the RNG is treating us. It's going to be close. The Austin campaign is coming to close as Americans make their way to the polls for a fresh chance to start fresh. Where will you make your final campaign stops before Election Day? Let's face it, the blue wall is falling. If Mitt really expands in the Midwest, we're doomed. We need a Detroit, Milwaukee, and Cleveland fast. We want a chance to turn the tide. Before we're out in Detroit, Mayor Hendricks tells you that more and more people leave each year, that when he leaves a city, the people's scowls are ever present, that the rust is setting in. Is hope all that's left? I hope not. We need a win. How are we doing in Indiana? 14 points. We have our first win of the night in Vermont. This is going to be a close one, without a doubt. None of the usual swing state suspects are in. We got Virginia. That's actually huge. By a decent amount, too. We got Florida, and we got Pennsylvania. We lost Ohio pretty narrowly. But I think if nothing else, these all hold. We got New Hampshire as well. I was worried about New Hampshire and Minnesota. I think we might have this. We got Michigan. We won. We got Oregon. Not doing too well in Nevada or Arizona. We did get Wisconsin, though. The question's going to be Colorado, I think. And we got Colorado by a pretty narrow margin, but run from it, dread it, and arrives all the same. 306 to 232. Narrow plurality of the popular vote. Kuchinik taking 5.6%, my God. Well, here we are, Joe the plumber. He hadn't felt this in decades, the wind at his back, the Potomac River, while the rest of the world was preparing to watch the results. Al Gore knew where the wind was blowing, so I was going out to sea. A donor pal lent to the boat. The privileges of being president. It had been so long since he'd been on one, too. The brisk November winds propelled it forward into the darkness, far from land, from where Romney was almost certainly winning the election. To a place Gore didn't have to care, to where he hadn't failed. He threw his head back and laughed as the water of the Potomac splashed his face. splashed up at his face. It'd been a long time since he'd really gotten wet. Excuse you. Sorry, a loud-ass car just drove by me. The motor of the engine hummed as he soared down the river, laughing all the way. Maybe he'd call the Coast Guard to get him. It's not like anyone would really care. He could feel himself reaching the sea when he felt his phone ring. Buzz, buzz. Checked Tipper. Hello? Are you seeing this, Al? I don't need to. You could somehow hear her biting her lip. Are you okay? Never been better. Something icy gripped him inside of his chest. He hung up before she could talk more, and he soared down the river to a new tomorrow, to the wide old ocean where the world could still be one. Let's do results by state. Let's see the closest states. Colorado, margin of 8,000 votes. Wisconsin, a margin of 15,000. New Hampshire, a margin of 10,000. Ohio, we lost by a margin of about 100,000. Not that crazy, actually. In Missouri, about 50,000. North Carolina was actually quite close. I wonder if we put more visits in there, we could have won. Here's our overall results versus the so-called historic. Further reading. Events. Check all this out on your own time if you also decide. Alright, we actually won the popular, which we didn't historically. Presidential elections. The Canada map, if you're curious. Here's the county map for all of you curious out there. Well, there we go. Alright, I'm gonna leave things there. I'm gonna get this video uploaded and going anyway. So I'm gonna leave things there. What a song to end things on as well. I wish I could play it. I'm gonna leave things there, but I thank you all always for watching. If you like this video, like. If not, feel free to dislike. Leaving comments and feedback down in the comment section below. I read all comments again, and I do appreciate any feedback you might have for me. Check out my various links down in the description box below. Leaving comments and feedback down in the comment section below. And yeah, I'm gonna leave things there. Thanks always for watching. My name has been Mr. Dogweb333. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye now.